Good morning, Lincoln. We'll give it a couple of minutes, see if anybody comes on. It's 7:30. I hope you've all slept super well. And this morning we're going to be going through breath work. Breath work is probably the most essential thing you can do to really help your body go into what's called its parasympathetic state, that relax, digest, and rest state, which is really important for our healing. So when we are trying to heal, when our body has become sick, what normally happens in the cascade that leads up to us becoming sick is our body gets caught in what's known as its fight or flight, its sympathetic state. Good morning, Julie, great to see you. Morning, Rebecca. And oftentimes we never get ourselves out of our fight and flight. Jane, you're there too, great to see you. So now more than ever, everybody is caught in a sympathetic fight or flight stress response. All you need to do is even think about what is going on in the news right now, and your body will automatically find itself in its fight or flight, its stress response, what is known as your your sympathetic part of your nervous system. Good morning, Joan. So what we're going to do with breath work is move into what's known as our parasympathetic part of our nervous system, which is where our body does its healing. So if you've ever heard of the term spontaneous remission, spontaneous remission is where people have been diagnosed terminally ill and they are given a death sentence of maybe a few weeks. And what happens is these people suddenly self-heal and go on to live for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And there's a couple of things that happen in that process when someone goes into that self-healing state and goes from a terminal diagnosis to living for the next 10, 20, 30 years. The two things that tend to happen, first of all, is a forgiveness of self, which is one of the hardest things to do when we're trying to heal. But the second thing that really happens is they shift their body's physiology into what's known as your parasympathetic state, your rest and digest, the healing state of the body. So I just not long got back from a morning run, so I'm trying to calm down now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you through what I do for breath work. Now I do this every single morning. Normally I don't wait till 7:30 because for me this is the afternoon. It's normally a few hours ago, but I'm going to walk you through it this morning, and it's really simple. If you get into the habit of doing this every single day, you'll reset your physiology and you'll build your body to a point where it is always in a healing state. If you learn this and practice this, the next time the team puts you on the heart rate variability machine, that little clip that goes on your ear to measure your stress score, you'll be able to move it into a better phase. So for instance, and I'll try and get hold, because I'm going into practice today, and I'll try and post later, my heart rate variability. If I just sit there and think about everything, my heart rate variability will be between sort of 40 and 60. When I do this breath work, it gets between 80 and 95%, which means my body is in a healing state, and you can do exactly the same. So it's really simple, and here's how we do it. We've never really been taught to breathe before, and most of us, believe it or not, are breathing wrong and breathing inefficiently. There's a huge portion of the population that get tarred with this, and that people who are labelled as asthmatic. A huge proportion of those people who've been diagnosed as asthmatic actually have never been taught to breathe, and that is all it is. So if I asked you now just to take a deep breath in, most of us would do exactly what I just did then and lift our shoulders, expand our chest to try and fit more air in. That actually closes the chest down, because if you think of my trapezius here, these muscles pull up. They're actually pulling on the sac of your lungs and creating it to go thinner and narrower. What we need to do when we breathe is push down and out. And that gives space for the lungs to push out and breathe through. So here's how we do it, a simple beginner's guide to breathwork, how to breathe. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 6, and breathe out for a count of 8. So it's breathing in for 4, holding for 6, and out for 8. But there's a specific way that we have to breathe in. So the simplest way to do it is to take one hand onto your tummy, onto your belly, and the other hand onto your chest. And just do a couple of breaths and just see where you're breathing from. If you haven't got it quite right, good morning, Joe, what you'll notice is that my chest hand was moving. And that shouldn't be the case. It should be the belly hand that moves when we breathe. So it's about really focusing, sit comfortably, relax your shoulders because there should be no movement through the shoulders. And as the breath comes in, we should feel our belly push out. And then as we breathe out, our belly should come back in. So remember, it's in for 4, hold for 6, out for 8. We'll do a couple of rounds of that. Simply repeating that process over and over again for a few minutes is really, really important, both moving for you. Now that's fine at the start as long as you've got your belly moving. The more you practice this, the less this chest will move and the more the belly will. But this is like learning to dance. It really takes a lot of practice because we're not used to using our belly and our diaphragm for breathing. So it takes a lot of practice to be pushing that out and letting it fall back in. What you'll notice if you practice this is you can hold your breath much easier on an out breath. Most of us think if we want to hold our breath for a long period of time, it comes from taking a big, full, deep breath of air. But actually we can hold our breath for much longer if we do a few of these breaths and hold out. So one of the advanced things you can do to really get your brain firing and that creative part of your brain working is do a few minutes of this breath work, the 4 in, 6, hold, 8 out. And at the end, you finish with 3 rounds of once you've breathed out, you hold your breath for as long as you can. And that starts to activate centers of the brain which are very, very deep, which can create a lot of creative thought and idea. So really, really good if your hobbies are around creativity or your work is around creativity to get yourself into that state. So I'm just going to sit here and do a bit of breath work. I'm going to do a few rounds, minute or so, not very long. Feel free to join. Remember, hand on the chest and hand on your tummy. Your aim is to breathe in for 4, hold for 6, and out for 8. Really try as you do this to focus on that belly hand moving and the chest doing as little work as possible. Your shoulders shouldn't move. So I'm just going to sit here and do it. I'm probably going to look really stupid, just looking straight at the camera or straight above the camera, breathing in and out. But who cares? We're at home on our own. This is the number one thing you can do to heal yourself, so why not try? Exactly, Angela. And Tai Chi is brilliant because the breath work comes in with the movement, which is a phenomenal way of getting your body into a calm and fluid state. So I'm going to do a few breath works and I'll see if there's any questions afterwards. And then I'll wish you a wonderful day before I head into the practice to try and get some work done. So just relax, sit yourself nice and comfortable. One hand on the chest which shouldn't move, one hand on the tummy which should move. We're breathing in for 4, holding for 6, and out for 8. And then for the last few, I'm just going to do some breath holds. So it's as simple as that. If you just joined last minute, you probably think, what is Tom doing? Breathing slowly inwards and outwards. But it's the simple breath work. If you have just joined, the breath is in for 4, hold for 6, and out for 8. Your hand is on your belly, focusing on the belly moving. Your hand on your chest should notice no movement. It's as simple as that. Now, my morning routine would normally be an early wake up. The first thing that I do is hydrate, so I have a pint of water. I normally then have a little bit of apple cider vinegar and water to get some alkalinity into my body. I would then come downstairs and I journal, so I have a book that I write in. Once I've journaled, I read. I then do my breath work, and then I normally, most days, it's some exercise. Otherwise, it's straight into epoch. So the important thing about all of this is you are setting your intention for the day. With us being stuck at home, for a lot of us, routine has been lost. It's really important that we try and keep our routine. And the simplest way is to start every day the same. If you think of each day that you're going to go into as a bookshelf, and on this bookshelf there is a lot of different novels. There might be a drama, there might be a horror, there might be a romance, there might be a comedy. But the books on the shelf are held upright by 2 bookends. The bookends can start and finish exactly the same. So no matter what tragedy, horror, comedy, or romance that happens during the day, we start and finish it with exactly the same intention, which builds a routine and builds an expression of what you want to achieve that day. So I'd encourage you to start each morning with the breath work. It really, really helps to get your body into the parasympathetic state, which is going to enhance your healing right now, while you guys are in charge of exactly that by yourself. So I'll just answer a couple of questions. Can I do this while doing my neck roll? Absolutely you can. It's a great place to do that. The neck roll takes tension out of the cervical spine, your neck, which again pulls the body out of a sympathetic response into the parasympathetic, which is this rest and digest, which will really help with that. Perfect. And you're getting it absolutely right, Angela. And if we want to link this in with what's going on, and I don't really want to go too much into what's going on at the moment, but the virus is a lung issue. So this is going to help with your lung capacity. So if there is any element of compromise for you, this will help improve that and help your resilience against it. Let me just have a look at these questions. Yes, Emma, isn't it different? Like when you do this, it's so relaxing and so calming. Really, if you know any children, that you might work with who have sort of asthmatic conditions or get anxious and worked up, this is a great exercise you can get them to do. Super, super brilliant. And I think that's the questions that I've answered. Good. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. It's Going to be another beautiful one before the weather might change tomorrow. But make sure that you're doing all the right practices while you're at home. Keep your morning routine right. Make sure you're reading. Make sure you're writing down your thoughts. Do some of the exercises that we've been giving you to help with your back and your spine and your posture. Keep talking to each other on this group. Really, really important to keep that community going. I've already noticed a change when I'm out on the streets in terms of the people that I used to run past who used to say hello are now not. And I'd love the epochers to be the champions in Lincoln who are really showing people that the community is still alive and beating. So keep the comments going. I'd love to see what you guys are up to today. For me, I'm just going to go and quickly get a shower. I'm going to head into the practice. I've got a little bit of work to catch up on there. A couple of phone calls today, and then I am stopping, and I'm going to have a day off, which I'm super excited about. There is a silver lining to all of this. And then we're going to be planning everything leading up to reopening, which I'm super excited about. Can't wait to be back into Epoch helping you. Thank you, Jane. I appreciate that. And if there's anything that you want me to discuss or cover or do some teaching on in this environment, then just send a message through, and it would be my absolute pleasure to impart my knowledge if I know it. And if I don't, it'd be a great chance for me to read up and expand my knowledge. Heather, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Share the breathing work with everybody that you know. Thank you, Emma. Have a lovely day too. I look forward to seeing you all very soon, which is going to be a few weeks. I've already saw one of you this morning while I was out running, so that was super, super nice. And hopefully I'll bump into a few more of you. I know you live around the lakes here in Highcombe as well. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Stay healthy. And if I can do anything for you, just shoot me a message. And it would be my absolute pleasure. Take care.